Alright, hello and welcome back to the channel. Got another player ratings video for you guys, and sorry I'm a little bit late here, about a day behind. This is for the second leg of the Milan-Manchester United Europa League tie. First round ended 1-1 away, so Milan had a slight advantage just on away goals. Should have been 2-1 after the absolutely fake and trash disallowed handball goal by Castillo, which was not a handball. And a crazy overturned decision, which there needs to be clear and obvious proof, and there was not. So that did play a massive role in the overall tie, but we will get to that at the very end. Overall, Milan actually still played very well. They played a very strange lineup just because they have been very, very battered with injuries. I don't know what happens every single year at Milan. I have no idea, but I've been watching this team for several years, decades actually, and over the past 5 to 10 years, their injury issues have been outrageous. Every season it seems like we are the team with the most or some of the most injuries. I have no idea why. It could be a training thing. It could be that our players just don't have the type of proper mentality to push through some of these easy injuries, or there's just something wrong in training where they're getting really serious injuries all the time. I have no idea, but it's becoming a massive issue. Alrighty, let's start at the back. We got Donaruma. He stood up when he needed to. I don't really think he was at fault for the goal. Maybe he could have done a little bit better, but it looked like it took maybe a slight deflection off of Castillo. Either way, I do think he could have covered his near post. If you look at where Pogba was, there's only one place Pogba's going. He's going short side. If Pogba scores a goal going far side, good for him. Great shot, great placement. You just got to give it up to the guy. But he went near side. I don't know why Donaruma was kind of in the center of the net, leaning away from it. He should have been more towards the near post, and he might have just been able to sit there and block it. So Donaruma, 5.5 to a 6, maybe just edging out a 6, but pretty close to a 5.5. Pierre Kahlula at right back. We really miss Calabria. As I always say, I think Kahlula is going to be good. I actually personally prefer him as a backup center back at this point, who can kind of do both, can be a right back or a center back. But I actually think he's better at the center back position because his attacking is really bad. He's decently fast, he's got decent speed, but as I always say, speed without quality is absolutely nothing. So he played okay defensively, but he was a little bit frail, a little bit weak. And his crossing and his attacks was just brutal. It's been brutal the past few times he's played, but every attack that goes down that side, he almost kills. Whereas Calabria creates things, he actually is a threat on that side. Kahlula was the exact opposite. It almost like he was the opposite of a threat to them, and Manchester United didn't really have to do much when Kahlula was on the right wing deep in their zone. Simon Kjaer, I thought, played a great game. Him and Tomori, I'm just going to do their ratings together. I feel like they formed a great partnership last time. They did it again today. Manchester United, really, in my opinion, were not that big of a threat. Our two center backs perform more than well enough, which just proves that you don't need great center backs in this day and age. I do think that Kjaer is very good. I think that Tomori has proven to be very good, but none of these guys would hold a candle to any of the world-class defenders of old. And guess what? You don't need that anymore. As long as you have decent athletes, as long as they're decent defenders, you're probably going to be fine. I feel like the modern day of defending is more done with the midfield, more done with high press, more done with just a lot of bodies around the ball, rather than truly top quality center backs. And in my opinion, besides Virgil van Dijk, who actually I don't think he had a great last season, there's really not another truly top defender, in my opinion, out there. Everybody makes massive mistakes. They're all very average. They have big highlight reels, have decent speed, or make a good flashy header or a slide tackle here and there, but they're just no great defenders, and you just don't need them. And Kjaer and Tomori were more than up to the task against Man U, which is great. So I would rate Kjaer of 6.5. Tomori had excellent on-the-ball marking, so I would give him a slightly better rating at a 7. Theo Hernandez did fine. There was really nothing that he did terribly today. Oftentimes he leaves far too much space, but Man U just really weren't that threatening. They had a couple attacks for sure, but they were more threatening down the left side actually today than they were Man U's left side, that is, which is our right, than they were down our left, which usually is the problem area, as Theo typically goes way too far out forward, but Man U did not exploit that space today, which was great. Castillo, for the very first time, I'm going to give him a negative rating. He just did not look into it. He has seemed a little bit sluggish, a little bit tired. He still worked, hard. He still had a classic Castillo style performance, but in my opinion, he could have closed down Pogba further on the goal, which was massive, and so he gets a 5.5, borderline 6, but 5.5 today. This is one of his worst games today. Didn't really do too much, didn't really shut as much down as he should have. Swalio Mete has been playing fantastic the past few games. Fantastic for him, in my opinion, is like a 6 or 6.5. But now he's back to his old ways. He generally played well, which is how he plays most games. He doesn't do much of anything, but he's in decent positions. He wins some balls back, makes some decent passes. But really, when the tough gets going is when you're going to see him crumble. He is always due one massive mistake per game, and who knows, it might lead to a goal, it might not, right? Sometimes he gets punished for it, sometimes he doesn't. Well, today he was back to his old ways, or I guess yesterday, and he did not clear his lines, and you just have to get it out immediately. You can't take a big swing with your foot. Just get that ball out, chip it somewhere, chip it to the actual sideline, anywhere. Don't chip it into guys. Don't do that. It's pointless. Like, just get the ball out any way you can. It's right in your box. Don't take that risk. And then he just falls down and lays down because the ball's away from him. Doesn't try to get up or run after Pogba or anything, put some pressure on, make a noise or something to throw the guy off. Nope. Just lays there. Oops, I made a mistake. Too bad. I'm just going to lay here. Absolutely gross. I couldn't stand that play. Otherwise, he played okay, but when you give up a goal like that, which is not all his fault, Xiaohanoglu was also partially to blame too. When you give up a goal like that, it's pretty indicative of a terrible performance. Mete gets a 4 today. Salamakers worked hard. He wasn't amazing. He wasn't terrible. He's just classic Salamakers, right? He's a good cog player in the system, but this guy really needs to be a backup player. If we're going to progress forward and become a truly quality team, he needs to be a backup right or left-sided player because he can do both. He really should not be a starter. He's a starter because he's the best we've got right now, but this position needs to be upgraded hardcore. He does get a 6 because he was pretty solid overall. Xiaohanoglu, the other, in my opinion, player who really stunk it up. He just didn't do anything. It's almost like having him back has been a hindrance, as Ibrahim Diaz has been outplaying him over the past 4 to 5 weeks. Yes, he's back after injury, but he just has not played well. I mean, he doesn't have the same quickness that he had prior. He doesn't have the same speed of thought, the same shooting ability. He just doesn't seem threatening on the ball as he used to. And he dribbled it right into Mete. Just clear the frickin' lines. Like, whether it's you, whether it's Mete, those two 100% are like 99% responsible for the only goal that Man U scored. And if they don't score that goal, Milan goes through. So it was a massive error, massive mistake. And Xiaohanoglu also gets a 4. Radek Krunic worked hard, did what he could, playing far out of position. I get it, he's played there before, but he's just not good at left wing. I would honestly rather have Ibrahim Diaz go play at left wing and Krunic play attacking mid, because Xiaohanoglu has just been sucking so hard recently. You should just bench the guy. I don't care if he's been good in the past. He's not good right now, and you have to play your informed players. He's not in form. There's no point to play him. So I can't blame Krunic. He did what he could. He just is not a left wing. It's funny how something they'll talk about a little later is how we actually needed another left wing. And Pioli thought that leaving out Hauga was great so he could bring along Mete. I don't know. I mean, Mete did okay, but it's just funny how that ended up working out or not working out for us. Overall, though, Krunic didn't do too much bad, didn't do too much great, so I'd give him between a 5.5 and a 6. Last up, Samuel Castillo playing very far out of position, playing the striker or center forward role. He really did what he could. I thought he actually worked hard, and for what he had, he was all right. I can't really rate him too terribly. I'd give him also a 5.5 to a 6. Substitutes, Dalot, he was a mild upgrade to Kahlula, but I do mean mild. He was also not doing well on the right side, as he never does well on that side. He always plays well on the left side. That is when you see him and you're like, okay, maybe this guy's got something. When he's on the right, you're thinking, ooh, he's not worth his price. It's strange since he is a right-footed player, even though he's pretty dang ambidextrous, but he just plays better on the left. Unfortunately, that's where we had to play him because Calabria is out. And he was, as I said, a mild upgrade to Kahlula, but really not much. Next, Zlatan, 6.5 for Zlatan. I thought that he played really well. He should have buried the header, but you can see the second he's in, we now all of a sudden have a threat. It just shows you how much we have been carried by Ibra. Everybody was saying, oh, we don't need Ibra, we're fine. Look, we're getting goals with Leao or Rebic or whatever. It was all just people not understanding this team. We were riding a wave of momentum, a huge wave of momentum, because Ibra turned this team around. It wasn't Pioli, it was Ibra. Pioli kind of got the ground stable, but Ibra turned this team around and gave him a mentality. And now that he's been out for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, we have lost that. And it's really scary because the team just seems to just lose a lot of that attacking confidence. We haven't scored goals in a long time. I mean, look at Napoli. Same loss, 1-0. We just can't score, and we can't score without Ibra. It's such a bad choice that we are relying only on Mandzukic as his backup, who is also quite old, and he's done nothing for us. Smart signing if he's healthy, but if he's not healthy and fit, he does nothing. So we really actually needed a different striker in the winter transfer period. I think that a guy that we should have gone for, and I still would like to go for, is Gianluca Scamacca. I think that we should still go for him in summer. Yes, Belotti is a good option too. There's a couple other great options, but I really think that Scamacca is going to be a great choice for us. He's tall, he's athletic, he is a lot like Ibra. And I don't know, he's just one of the people that I'm going to make an early call on and say that he's going to be something special, or at least he's going to be a very, very good player. Last up on our list would be Ibrahim Diaz. He was a big upgrade over Xiaohanoglu. I thought he should have started the game. He's been playing well. He's been much more effective, much more direct, and much more threatening. He gets a 6. Last up, Stefano Pioli. There's not much he could have done about the lineup besides play Diaz. Now, I don't know the specifics on midfield. I'm not sure if Tonali was fit, but I definitely would have played Tonali if he was even decently fit, or I would have played Benacer for a portion of the game. Unless Benacer would risk injury, then I don't think I would risk him. So it depends on how fit Benacer was. In my opinion, if you are confident enough to put the player on the bench, that means they can play the game. If you don't feel like they can actually play, don't put him on the bench, because you shouldn't risk that. So I'm not sure the scoop with Tonali, but if he was fit, even decently fit, he should have played. He's been playing great recently, and I believe if we had Tonali in rather than Mete, we probably would have maybe edged out a 0-0 tie, because I doubt he'd make the same exact mistake that Mete made, as Mete has disaster written over him at some points. Besides that switch there and putting Diaz in for Xiaohanoglu, there's really not much else you could do. I guess, as I was saying, you can maybe put Ibrahim Diaz out wide on the left, because he is more tricky, more shifty, can beat his man, and then put Krunic in the attacking midfield slot, as he played very, very well there. So that's probably what I would do. So I don't think there was too much Pioli could have done, but he also subbed Ibra way too late, in my opinion. He should have put him out at the start of the second half. If he's going to be healthy enough to play 20 to 25 minutes, he's probably healthy enough to play 45. So Pioli overall, I would give him about a 4.5 to a 5. 6 is, average in these types of ratings, and he definitely was below average. He wasn't awful, so maybe closer to a 5, but he definitely made some mistakes today. All right, best of the match. Pretty obvious. It's going to be our center back pairings, Tomori and Kyer. They were not threatened most of the game. I will say, I have no idea what they were doing on the Pogba goal. If you notice, you go on and watch back, they were just sitting, both of them were sitting in the goal for like 10 seconds, just sitting there trying to block shots. At least one of them should have been rushing out to challenge the ball, at least one. So I guess they kind of would be to blame, but overall they played great. They shut down a team who has strong attack. So they would be my best of the match. Worst of the match, pretty dang obvious. If you listen to the rating portion, it's going to be Mete, and it's going to be Xiaohanoglu. All right, to wrap up, a couple of key points. As usual, people are talking constantly about our center backs. Oh, Romagnoli this, Romagnoli that. That's why we're losing. That's our problem. It's really not our main problem, and it really has not been. Our problem is our attack. Look at our losses. It's because we can't get a goal. We can't come back when going down by even one goal. Every good team can do that. You're not talking about teams like Inter, who just let in no goals. When they let in a goal, they can come back and they can score. And without Zlatan, we can't score anything. So it's really our attack that's the problem. You have to be able to weather at least one goal. Yes, I would love it if we had the most amazing defense and never let in a goal, but the blame on our center backs is, now I hope people are seeing, is a little bit ridiculous. I point out a lot about formation and how it's really not the best thing for us because it leaves our left center back very exposed. But overall, I think we need to focus more on the attack of our team rather than the defense. Tomori is looking like he should be redeemed. He keeps playing very, very well. He fits in excellently here. He's partnered well with Kyer, and he's partnered well with Romagnoli. So if you have those three as your main center backs, that sounds great to me. And then you have Gabia as your fourth backup, who is well more than capable enough of starting. That's a very solid four-man setup. And then Kahlula as your fifth. That's very, very good. So overall, I think that you just need to look at our losses and look at what is actually happening. It's all about the attack. Look at Napoli game, 0-1 again. Manchester United game, 0-1. The first Manchester United leg, yes, we should have won, 2-1, but a lot of that was due to Castillo and then a random Kyer header. So nothing with our attack worked. Nothing of our actual attacking trio or attacking quadruplet, I guess you could call them, didn't do anything in any of these legs. So it's pretty brutal with what's going on there, and we should have invested heavily, or at least a little bit, into one quality player in winter, and we are paying that price right now. All right, injuries are showing our weakness in depth. It is great, that we brought in some good depth players. Tomori was a very smart signing, but Mandzukic is looking like an absolute flop. It was a smart signing on paper. Of course, you can't really blame Maldini for this because it actually was a very smart signing. If he's a fighter, he's a tough guy, he's got some quality, but he's been injured for so long, he's just doing nothing for us. But we really needed one more player. And it's crazy that we were looking at the center back position. We're like, oh yeah, let's go get Simakan, or let's go get Kabak. Okay, alone is fine for Tomori, that's fine. We really needed an attacker. So I really do blame the transfer team here for not getting an actual attacker. Next up, Pioli should have played Ibra the entire second half. If he's healthy enough to play 20, 25 minutes, he can play 45, and we needed him for 45. He gets a couple opportunities and does a fantastic job with them, almost scores a goal, whereas for the entire rest of the game, we did nothing. So it really, really shows how bad we are without Ibra, as the defenders have nothing to do. They have no threat when Ibra is not there. Next up, Xiaohanoglu is back to his old ways. I've always seen him as this, and it's something that I've said in some of my older videos, that he's the type of player who flatters to deceive. He is about as average gets. He has some games where you're like, wow, this guy's amazing. He's got great technique. He works hard. He fights hard most games. He's got good skills. He can shoot well. He can pass well. But he just rarely ever strings it together, and he doesn't seem to have that big game fight. When he's on form. He's playing great. He's kind of just feeling really, really good. He's in the zone. Sure, things are going well. But if he's not in the zone, he's very average, and that's really the part of Xiaohanoglu that I don't like. His average is not a solid, great game or a solid, very good Castillo-style game, right? His average is kind of a lackluster performance, like a 5.5 out of 6 performance. That's a classic average Xiaohanoglu game, and we're starting to see that again. He had a good half year, a remarkable half year just recently, but overall, I would say 80 to 90% of his time here has been below average, so it's kind of crazy that he's asking for such a massive salary hike when he has been bad much more than he's been good. So we'll see what happens with him. Next is that I know Hauga may not have changed things much, as he really hasn't shown us too many sparks. He has shown us sparks in Europa League, but he hasn't really shown, that he's not very fast. His skills are average right now, and he is definitely one for the future. But it's funny how we were really struggling for our attack. We didn't really have another player to play left wing. We're playing Rade Krunic out in left wing, whereas we didn't take Hauga for that reason. We said, oh, we're fine out there. Yeah, well, we didn't really expect it, but here we go. We actually needed another player like that. So funny how he left Hauga out. I think that was a very, very dumb decision, because Krunic can play the same role that Mete plays, and he's probably do one mistake a game when he plays back there, but so is Mete. So I think you don't really lose much by putting Krunic where Mete was, whereas you do gain an extra player if you have Hauga playing either left wing or even trying him at attacking mid. Lastly, as I've talked about a lot, Milan needs to revamp the attack, as this is by far the worst part of the team, and it has been our worst part for a long time, unless Ibra is playing, and that's unless Ibra is playing very, very well again, because when Ibra is slightly off, you need somebody else to step up, and usually Rebic is the guy to do that. Well, now Ibra and Rebic have been out for a while. Hopefully Ibra's back for good, but without those two, our attack is pretty bad. I don't care what people say about Leao. He's not ready. He's a good player. He's got some flashes of brilliance, but he needs to just be brought up in a team. He can't be given this responsibility yet. He's not good enough. Castillo's good for a few goals here and there. Salamaker's maybe a couple. Krunic with a surprising one here and there. Xiaohanoglu supposed to be the one who's stepping up, but he's just not. So unfortunately, this really is where we need to focus a lot of our team. We need to get probably bring back Pobega in midfield, let go of Mete, so we can actually save $10 million, which would be his buyout. I think it's like 8.5 or something like that, but close enough. And we really need to invest in a right winger and another attacker or a striker. So there's a lot we need to do, and some money that we actually need to spend in summer. So we really need to qualify for Champions League. That is so paramount to our continuing success. It's not even funny. And then, even though I don't have this one down on the key points, the handball was massive. The fake handball disallowed goal. That 100% was not a handball. There is no definitive proof of that either, and you need definitive proof to overturn the call on the field, which was a goal. It's ridiculous how that happened. It is definitely favoritism towards Man U. I don't know why this always happens, especially with a team like that, but it seems to have been happening for years, and it's just unfortunate that even in the day of VAR, you get that type of game and tie changing call being made by a ref without even going and looking at the screen. So definitely VAR has failed, and it definitely failed Milan. I can't say I'm too bummed about being out of the competition, because I feel like that has actually been what's been hurting us in Serie A. I've just been a little bit sluggish with all the injuries. It's just playing these extra games. We don't have the depth to do it, so we should just focus on one competition and do well at it. Unfortunately, the damage has already been done. Our confidence is shot. Our players are injured, and now we walk into every league game wondering if we're going to get a goal or not. And so it's hard because now the damage has been done. I almost wish we got knocked out earlier in the Europa League so that we could have really focused on just one game a week. So it is what it is. We should have gone through. We deserved to go through based on us outplaying them for 2 legs for most of the game in both legs, and for us getting a fake disallowed goal. So we actually did deserve to go through. I'm not just saying that as a Milan fan. Objectively, we did deserve to go through there. So it is unfortunate, but part of me is actually glad that we are out, so we can actually focus on 4th place, which is much, much more important. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I know that you're probably equally as bummed out as I am if you are a Milan fan, but I appreciate your time as always. Take care, and Forza Milan.